Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello and welcome back to the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. This week, we're in my home country and my home state at the beautiful Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for the 18th round of this 16th season and the Yeehaw Grand Prix. My name is Justin and joining me as usual, it's Andy.
Goodness me, that was loud, Justin. I had to turn that right down there, like blowing my ears off. Well, if I wasn't awake or either in the commentary box, I certainly am now with that wonderful yeehaw from Justin. Yes, we're in his hometown. Well, ever since we stepped into the paddock this morning, Justin hasn't stopped showing me around the place. He's that used to it. Well, it's great to be here in the USA, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Justin. The championship can be won today, but will it? 8 points. Sorry, 80, no, it's more than 8 points, but if he can outscore Surprise CRG Evo by 8 points, he will win that title today. Sorry, no, Surprise has to outscore Evo by 8 points to keep it alive. Sorry, Evo wins, it's over. Evo second, it's over, isn't it?
That's right, exactly. So Surprise needs to, as Andy said, outscore Evo by 8 points or more. So if Surprise wins the race, he's going to need Evo to finish in third or lower, which he did last week, actually. Evo coming in third at the Japanese Grand Prix behind Simon, who made a return to the podium. The last time he was on the podium was back in Spa, so it's been a long time waiting for Simon to be back on the podium. But in the end, Surprise was actually the winner. Now, I know that's not how it looked on the stream, but he did end up having that 5-second penalty that he got removed. And if some of you guys might remember me pointing that out when that happened, that might get removed, and it did indeed get removed, which means Surprise is the winner of the Japanese Grand Prix. But we're already into qualifying. You could probably hear the cars going around the circuit right now, but let's go ahead and have a hot lap with commentary by Austin.
Howdy, 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 everyone. My name is Austin Knight, and we are on board with Formula Danny here at the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. First corner is up this massive hill. I sometimes call him Phil. Hard on the brakes and into the apex, and then immediately onto the throttle and down through turn 2. Under the bridge and into the American S's of 3, 4, and 5. Turn 6 is a long right-hander. Keep those reds up because it sets you up for the sharp left-hander of turn 7. Up the hill and to the right of turn 8, and then across the blind turn 9. Blink and you'll miss it. Here's turn 10. Down this little short chute we go, up into turn 11, hard on the brakes, slamming it into the apex, and then immediately onto the throttle and down this over half a mile back straight, taking these wonderful Texas views, sinking in, best place on earth. But wait, harder on the brakes, it's turn 12. Flip that apex and enter the arena. It's turn 13, bunch of slow corners in here. Make your moves right. Turn 14. Clip the apex of turn 15. Wide entry. Hard on the brakes. Turn 16. Down and around the tower we must go of the multi-apex corner of turn 17 and 18. Say hello to the fans over on Haas Hill. Slamming into turn 19. Down this little short chute we go into the last corner. Keep it right. Keep it tight. It's turn 20. And across the line. And that is a lap around Circuit of the Americas.
Extremely well matched. Simon was really strong last week, wasn't he? Getting that podium, the first in Spa, as you mentioned. So it's good to see him back floating around the top of the timesheets, and he could be a real threat for the victory today. So Evo, Joe, Simon, and of course Veloci Surprise bidding to keep the championship race alive. It should be a fantastic race. And can Veloci Alonso really, you know, kickstart his season since returning? Because all in all, Justin, it's been a bit patchy to say the least, hasn't it, since he's come back?
Yeah, it has not been the best return for him. It's not been the best season for him, for sure. But he is one of the faster guys. A surprise now goes to the top of the timing sheets, 1/10, exactly 1/10 quicker than Simon. But yeah, I mean, he's never lacked in pace. Certainly, Simon has always been one of the faster guys out there. But unfortunately, it just has not come together really for him. Let's see if we can have a look at a couple of other drivers out on circuit, as I believe Surprise is making his way back into the pits with just about 11.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. P1R Brown for Williams is out on circuit, as is his teammate Matt 212, currently slowest of the drivers that have set times so far. We do have both of the Alfa Romeos in today's race. Again, only a grid of 13 cars, but still expecting a pretty good race. This is a circuit that promotes, I would say, side-by-side racing, especially through the arena section at the end of the DRS straight at the beginning of Sector 3. Really promotes lots of side-by-side battling. They're not high-speed corners, so you're not really bothered by dirty air. It's just a really great circuit. I am biased, obviously. I'm very biased.
I was going to say.
It's one of only 2 F1 circuits I've ever been to, and the other one was Indy, which wasn't a purpose-built F1 circuit, and hosted one of the worst F1 races in the history of mankind. So, yeah, I'd say of those 2, I probably prefer Circuit of the Americas. But yeah, in the championship, just to go over that really quickly, while everybody's setting their initial times, as we mentioned already, 83-point gap between Evo and Surprise. And 8 points or more is what Surprise needs over his rival in the championship in order to keep that championship alive. Leopard is now, interestingly, 3rd in the championship after a bad run of form for OMG It's Joe recently. You have to say, unfortunately, extending that in Suzuka, where he failed to score any points at all after finishing 6th in Russia, 8th at Singapore. It's been a terrible month, really. The month of February as a whole has been pretty bad for OMG It's Joe, and as a result, Leopard has actually overtaken him in the standings. And we've talked about this before already, haven't we, Andy? Leopard is really coming alive in this later part of the season.
It's incredible. We've actually rarely mentioned Leopard at times this season. We certainly have in recent weeks, but, you know, he's not showing the kind of speed to be on the front row consistently, you know, up there with the likes of Surprise. We know Simon's capable. We've seen Joe win a race. Well, I've seen Joe win a race. Evo, we don't see him up there as often with those guys, but somehow he's the man that's third in the championship. Only twice as he failed to finish this season at 113th, and the rest of his results have all been in the top 5, apart from in Belgium where he was 6th. So that just shows you that he always seems to be there or thereabouts at the end. And Leopard, yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic as the season's wore on. 2 podiums in Singapore and in Russia, and the 4th place last time out in Japan. But I want to touch on Joe, who, as you mentioned, has gone off the boil slightly. It's not been a good few races for him, but this week or last week or in that period, we had a big patch come to the game, which adjusted tyre temperatures. Now that is something that I think would really favour someone like OMG It's Joe, who's on the pad, who struggles at times with tyre temperatures and carcass temperatures. And it's now, as many drivers are saying, a bit like F1 2017, and it's not really too much of an issue for them now. So is that going to boost Joe's chances over the course of the remainder of the season and going into next season, Justin? That is going to be something we'll need to watch. And we know Evo's quick, and one of Evo's main traits has been being able to keep tyres in the window. Is that going to affect him towards the end of this season going into next? So plenty to talk about regarding that as well, isn't there?
Ooh, as Joe runs really wide at the penultimate corner there, it looks like he's going to slow down and give it another shot, though, and try for another lap. But yeah, I imagine OMG It's Joe, when that patch was announced, probably screaming to his heart's content, wondering where was this patch before the Singapore Grand Prix, because he probably would have really, really liked to have seen that for Singapore. And then that might have not, because I have a feeling that poor performance in Singapore kind of carried over as well into Russia, into Japan as well too. He said he's not focused on the championship. He is taking it one race at a time. So we know he's not going to be too bothered about that, but of course, you know, he would much rather be finishing on the podium rather than outside the top 10 as he did at Suzuka, for example. So yeah, but Joe, definitely for Season 17, because of course Season 17 is going to be run on this exact same game. So just like Andy said, it's very, very possible that OMG It's Joe could be that much more of a threat come the following season. But at the moment, I have to say, I'm really, really happy about what I'm seeing on the timing tables. We've only got 9 drivers so far, still 4 to go, still 4 to set times, and one of those is actually Valache Alonso as well, too. Now, we do have a bit of insider information on Valache Alonso today due to his Twitter account. Apparently, he's having some problems with his wheel, and this is going to be his last race with that wheel before he ships it back for some sort of repair or adjustment or whatever needs to be done to it. So that could mean possibly that Alonso may not be an enormous threat in this race today.
Well, that's a real shame for him, of course. So hopefully we can get that sorted out and be back up to full speed for the brand new season when it comes. But yeah, I mean, I suppose, Justin, I know the championship's not officially decided yet, but going into these final 3-4 races, I mean, with the new patch, I think this is a good opportunity to see who the runners and riders are for next season, who are the ones that are going to be the major threats near the front of the field. And, you know, it might be the end of the season, but it's an opportunity for everyone to build some form, build some momentum going into that brand new season when it arrives. And, you know, I cannot wait for it to get going. But as you mentioned, Justin, look at the timing screens. It's very, very tight here. Surprised, just a 10th quicker than Simon, who's a fraction quicker than Joe and Evo, who are separated by just 3 thousandths of a second. Leopard's in there just waiting in the wings.
He's gone even closer, did Leopard.
Really, really close. 2 tenths between the top 5 drivers, and that could really add to an exciting race. And as you mentioned, Justin, it is a great track. You can overtake here, and I'm not being biased because you know, it's not my home track. But I'll be honest. I really think this circuit is one of the best modern ones on the calendar, or you know, the best modern one that maybe Tilke has created. Right up there with the likes of Malaysia and Istanbul, an exciting track, an exciting layout that takes corners from other classic tracks. You know, the uphill climb into turn 1 reminds me a little bit of Austria. This long right-hander that Joe's going through now reminds me of turn 8 at Turkey. You know, there's so many great corners on the track, and you know, the Maggots and Decades of Silverstone in the first sector here as well. So, you know, it's a really good track, and I enjoy it, and I think it provides fantastic racing, and this race will be no different.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. It got off to a bit of a slow start at Circuit of the Americas in 2012 and 2013, I would say, when Pirelli were being a little bit conservative with the tire compounds, and it was essentially a 0 stop in that first inaugural year. But ever since they kind of come to terms with the tires and figured out which compounds will work best in Austin, it has really come alive. Of course, I was at the 2015 race, which was incredible. Last year's race as well was really, really enjoyable. One of the best races of the season, if not the best race of the season. So, yeah, it is a fantastic track. Bit of a gap between 5th and 6th. It's about 0.3 of a second, but it is very close between the 2 McLarens. Just a couple hundredths of a second between them, and then just a 10th down to the Alfa Romeo of Restev, and then the 2 Williams just about clinging on to the top 10 with, again, Alonso, Morso, and Pinecone still all yet to set times. And those are all quick guys. Certainly, I would say all 3 of them have the potential to threaten the top 5, if not get into the top 5. So we will be waiting with anxious breath for those 3 to set their initial times. It looks like the Ultrasofts on for Alonso. We do have the Ultrasofts, the Super Softs, and the Softs are the tire compounds that are on offer for today's U.S. Grand Prix. And it does look like to be mostly Ultra Softs that we're seeing. We'll switch over to best. P1R Brown's best lap actually being set on the soft compound, interestingly enough. And he's only marginally slower than Matt 212.
He's gone out there and actually on the the Super Soft right now. He's actually on an outlap on those. So he's going to go for that tyre for his lap. You know, we mentioned the tyres briefly there, but I have to say, I think if before the patch, the majority would have went for Super Soft. But because of the patch, you know, they all feel that they can do it now in the Ultra Soft. So, you know, that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. And, interesting to see how P1R Brown goes. He, Merso and Pinecone, and potentially Matt 212 is in the pits on those tyres at the moment, are all going to give it a go on the Super Soft. So it'll be interesting to see which strategy comes out on top, Justin, because we go into this race unknowing. You know, usually you can look back at previous events or other races, but on Xbox, first time with this patch, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what's the quicker way to go.
Oh, and it looks like MVP Zero is done with his session. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he won't be bettering that 1:30.406 that he set, currently good enough for 6th fastest. I don't know if that's going to keep him in the top 10 as we're now getting into the final couple of minutes of qualifying. And it looks like Evo and Surprise, the 2 championship leaders, are out on their outlaps as it stands right now. I'm on with P1R Brown just because he was just starting this flying lap on the Supersoft, so I thought I'd give him a bit of camera time and see what he's up to. But let's actually switch over to Veloce Surprise, because it looks like he is going to be setting his time before Evo, as he's already making his way into the penultimate corner now, running extremely wide, which I've seen a number of drivers doing at that penultimate corner. But through the final corner now, onto the loud pedal, and let's see what Veloce Surprise can do. I don't know a ton about the strategy. I'd imagine on the Ultrasofts they're going to be coming in relatively early. I did catch most of the PS4 stream and some of the PC stream. Unfortunately, the PS4 stream was entirely wet. It was intermediate compounds from flag to flag, so that won't tell us too much. But on the PC side, I did see Formula Danny switch from the Ultrasofts onto the Supersofts, I think at lap 6. I don't know if he was going for a 2-stop strategy, but you know, we had to prepare for our own stream, so I couldn't stick with it and find out exactly what his plan was there. But yeah, it seems the patch may have shaken things up a little bit, and it's going to make some changes on the grid potentially, and just how people approach qualifying in general.
Absolutely, Justin. We go into this in the unknown as Langman joins us to make it a 14-car grid. That's good to see. As CRG Simon looks like he's going to be the first of the big guns, Justin, to complete a flying lap. Then it will be Joe after that. So let's keep an eye on Simon as he runs a little bit wide through that penultimate corner. It is a corner that is probably one of the most tricky to get right on the racetrack. He heads round the final corner and breaks into the 129s, a 29.8 from Simon. Joe's behind him on the road. Can he better it? Yes, he can, but only just. Very, very close between them. Next up is Surprise, Justin. Very tight.
Yeah, here. Oh, on board with Surprise. He's actually doing a bit of corner cutting. Oh, he's trying to get to the line in time. He's got 3 seconds, 2 seconds. He's not going to make it. Veloce Surprise will be denied pole position as he crosses the line. His best time, a 1:30.090. I can only assume that that's going to be bettered by Evo and probably Leopard as well, too, given how close Leopard is to our current championship leader in when it comes to one-lap pace recently over the course of this season. Team Vodka Shot isn't going to do any better than 7th position as he finds the checkered flag at the end of his lap as well, too. But Evo through the penultimate corner now. Just one more corner to go for our current championship leader and champion hopeful. Through the final corner he goes, and what's it going to be? It's only good enough. Oh my gosh! It is an identical time. He also sets a 1:29.869, but doing it later in the session, of course, is going to put him on the 2nd spot on the front row of the grid alongside the Force India of OMG. It's Joe. Where's LCR Leopard? He's just making his way through the stadium section now. What can he do? Can he actually get ahead of his teammate?
Oh, absolutely incredible. We're getting flashbacks to Jerez 1997 here, where 3 drivers set identical times on the front row of the grid. Can Leopard do that with another identical time? That would be incredible if he did. He's currently P5 at the moment. He will fancy his chances of moving up a spot or 2, if not more. Here comes Leopard round the final corner, and for the line, it's a 1:30 flat. Look how close it is, Justin, between the top 5 drivers. Veloce Alonso slots in with his one and only effort into 6th place, and that is that. The session is over. One of the closest sessions of the season, and one of the best sessions of the season as well. And, you know, it's all shaping up to be a fantastic race. Nothing, absolutely nothing to separate Joe and Evo, other than the fact that Joe did his time first. OMG, it's Joe. OMG, they've done the same time. Wow.
Absolutely incredible. Really, really happy to see OMG, it's Joe making his return and possibly feeling very confident about look at that gap. Look at that gap. Someone screenshot that gap. Plus, minus, more or less the same. CRG Simon within 200ths of a second. We've got 3 cars within 200ths, and then it's about just under a tenth and a half down to the other Ferrari of LCR Leopard, who starts on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid is Surprise, who starts alongside Alonso, who in the end was about a quarter second adrift of the top 5. MVP Zero does stay in 7th position, interestingly, despite that early qualifying retirement. He's alongside Team Vodka Shot, his teammate in the other McLaren. Row 5 is Pinecone and Restev. Then we've got Morso, P1R Brown, and Matt 212 Gaming bringing up the rear. And we're heading now to the grid, of course, which means we are going to hear a quick word from our sponsors. Buy hype. That's my contribution to that. So here we are at the grid waiting for our 14 drivers. Shout out to Langman for making it, because actually before the race I told Andy, boy, I wish we had one more driver.
You've got it, no doubt about that. But you know, I have to say, if the drivers are watching the stream back, we definitely, Justin, need a side-by-side lap comparison from the 2 pole setters, don't we? That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. Or the 2 guys with the same lap time. Put that, so if somebody can edit that together, that would be awesome, because I want to see where they were quicker than each other, and then of course at the line, dead heat together. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the race. It should be a cracker, and yeah, the USA, as we mentioned in qualifying, always serves up a good race, and I'm sure this one will be no different. It's going to be fantastic.
And the predicted pit stop strategy, he says super soft to soft and soft to super soft. Again, I saw Formula Danny on the PC side going from ultra softs onto super softs around lap 6, though. So who knows how accurate that's going to end up being. It could be a big shakeup for the strategies, as far as the strategies are concerned. I have to say, at the moment, I'm a bit concerned about what's happening on my screen, because right now it's actually nothing. I don't see any names spinning or anything. I'm just staring at the pit lane. Are you getting the same thing?
Yep, I'm staring at the pit lane. Come on, Charlie White, and get up into the box and get this on the way. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we can get underway soon, Justin. We've done this before. We've had to stall from time to time, so we'll do it again. But yeah, looking forward to the race, no doubt about it. Fantastic circuit. Plenty of overtaking opportunities when we do get going, if we do get going. But you'd say, Justin, the best ones into turn 1 at the end of that long DRS straight. They are the best ones to make a move. And not only that, you know, at the end of that DRS straight, you can duck and dive, try and go back up the inside through that sequence that follows. So, you know, plenty of side-by-side action promised at this circuit, hasn't there?
Yeah, turn 1 and turn 12 definitely going to be the primary spots, as those are at the end of the DRS zones on the start-finish straight and on the back straight. But also, we could expect some side-by-side action into turn 11 as well, too. Some possibilities going into there, and as well into turns 13 and 16 in the stadium section after the DRS as well, too. As I mentioned before, some good side-by-side action there. On the PS4 side, we even saw a couple moments of people going side-by-side through 17 and 18, which is really surprising, especially in the conditions they were having at the time. But yeah, so I mean, as we've said, lots of opportunities for side-by-side racing. Turn 19 is a really interesting one. It's tricky and surprisingly difficult based on how it just looks like a slightly less than 90-degree corner. But it can be very, very difficult. In fact, we saw evidence of that in that qualifying session. We saw a number of cars going wide there. I do also know from the PS4 race and from the PC race that penalties are going to be an issue here. There's apparently some very forgiving corners on this track, and apparently some very not forgiving corners.
Yeah, well, we know who that suits. That certainly suits the likes of Evo. We know he always loves to, keep it clean and rarely picks up any penalties. And that was a crucial qualifying session, arguably the most important of the season so far. Surprise fluffed his lines. Evo did not. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, Surprise really needs to finish ahead of Evo to keep the championship alive. And it doesn't look likely. But I think we're going to have a restart, Justin. And I don't know what the rules are with the restart. Can we edit the grid? How does it go again?
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but yes, it looks like everybody is leaving the session, so I've gone ahead and put up the background. So so the nice viewers that have joined us don't have to put up with that. So bear with us, guys, while we get this sorted out. We always get the fun races. How do I even back out of this?
Yeah, well, we'll try and get ourselves out.
I guess just quit. I guess I'm just quitting. I apologize. It's hard to. It's one thing to fill time. It's another thing to fill time as I'm trying to rejoin the server.
Yeah, exactly. Your head's spinning at that point. But yeah, everyone in the comment section, let us know, who do you fancy to win this race? Do you think the Evo will win the championship today, or will it drag on another week to Mexico City? Evo starts the race, of course, from second. Surprise starts the race from P5, I think it is. So Surprise needing to outscore Evo by 8 points to keep it alive. Let us know what you think. But Justin, I think we can both agree that, well, I think we both agree that probably Evo will wrap it up today, isn't it?
Yeah. I would definitely put money on Evo finishing second or higher in today's race, especially with Surprise starting in fourth. That is, if we keep the qualifying results that we had earlier, which I assume we are going to do. But of course, they can always rewind the stream to get the qualifying results if Matt needs that, since he's usually the lobby host. So, but excuse me, I'm just waiting for an invite now. We can just go over the championship standings a little bit further. I kind of covered the top four. After talking about Leopard overtaking Joe. Simon, not that far off, only 17 points behind OMG. It's Joe, due to just, you know, a really strong start to the season. Simon, his main issue is disconnects, DNFs, DNSs, not showing up, that sort of thing. Very surprised that Jason97F1 is not here today. He's usually one that does not miss a race, but he currently sits 6th in the championship standings. Also 17 points adrift of Simon. So currently it's 17 points from Joe to Simon, Simon to Jason, and also from Jason to Pinecone, his teammate, down in 7th position, who's on 110 points. That's a very close battle with P1R Brown, though. P1R Brown with 110 points. Or, excuse me, Brown with 104, excuse me, after that win in Monaco. Yeah.
Name was Monaco race winner, Justin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot. I forgot his full name there. Yeah, Monaco race winner P1R Brown.
I think P1R Brown next season should just turn up with the username. That would be it. I think that's what he should do, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, that was surprising though. He won in Monaco, and it just shows you how crazy Monaco can be, isn't it? It's one of those races where anything can happen, and you know it proved to be that flash in the pan. Nothing against Brown, great result, but that just shows that Monaco throws up some variabilities, and Brown, that win, no podiums all season to follow it up. So yeah, Monaco really showing that it can spring a surprise on that occasion. So yeah, a really good race. I've enjoyed this season, Justin. I have. You know, Evo did sprint away early doors, didn't they? But you know, he's still having to fight for it as the season's going on. And I think everything we've seen in the second half of the season points towards a fantastic battle next season, doesn't it?
Yep, and it looks like we are getting, excuse me, we are getting the lobby back going as well too. So I appreciate you guys sticking with us. It shouldn't be too much longer before we get to the grid and head to the race. I wonder if Langman joining mid qualifying had any sort of result in that happening, but he is back in. I'm set to spectator. I think we're just missing you. Do you still need an invite?
I'm just joining as we speak, Justin. Just to be clear, it's been said in the chat, the AOR chat, and it is a custom grid for the race. They set the grid to what it was in qualifying, just so everyone is aware. The same weather, and by the way, the weather that was expected for the race was bone dry. So it's simple, lights the flag, bone dry, and everyone must start on the same tyre they qualified on. So if you're in the top 10, you've all got to start on the tyre you qualified on, which I presume was the ultra softs for the top 10. I think everyone except Pinecone. Pinecone was on the super soft, so that's what they've got to start the race on if you're in the top 10. So I'm just clearing that up for you guys tuning in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sorry about the delay, folks, but you know, it'll be worth it because I think this could be one of the best races of the season. I really do. I mean, it's such a good track, as I mentioned earlier on, for the racing. The qualifying is tight. You can't get tighter than that. It's impossible. And yeah, I think it's going to be a cracker and a potential crowning moment for CRG Evo. But what was the standout for you in that session, Justin? Was there anyone that caught your eye in the qualifying session with a good performance?
I was actually just about to say the opposite of that. Actually, was the bad performance. I was worried about why Pinecone was so far down, but then you solved that mystery for me by telling me that he was on the super soft. So I was wondering. Also, more so seemed a little bit out of position as well too. So the standouts to me weren't really the ones that performed well, but quite the opposite. I was surprised to see more so and Pinecone so far down the grid, because more so has done a fantastic job. Just to remind everybody. He's only been in 7 races, and he's scored points in 5 of those, and all of them in the kind of 7th to 4th range. So he's been a solid midfield contender since rejoining the league. Valache Alonso has done even fewer races. He's only done 4 races, scored points in all 4 of them, with one of them being a 2nd place finish. Of course, that was at Singapore. But he will start a little bit further up in comparison to more so in Pinecone, but I'm looking forward to see what Pinecone can do. It's not his home race, but it is his team's home race.
Absolutely. The Haas team, and we mentioned it so many times this season, they've been rather consistent, haven't they? It's a shame that we don't have Jason tonight, but Pinecone flying the flag. And, looking at the times, Justin, 7 and a bit tenths away on a slower compound of tyre is... Well, I don't know what the delta is between them on this track, but I would think that's a pretty... But isn't it? So there could be good reason for the Haas team to be celebrating at their home race today. Who knows? Maybe a Haas on the podium, Justin. It would be superb for the American fans, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Me included. And of course, as I've mentioned before, I've become more and more of a fan of Pinecone as the season has gone on. He's definitely been one of the standouts of the season for sure. One of those drivers that we didn't necessarily think of as a podium contender maybe at the beginning of the season. And he proved us extremely wrong by picking up 4 podiums already in this season. All of 3 of those podiums coming across a span of 4 races. That was really when Pinecone was on it. He's only had 3 DNFs, one of which was Silverstone, which was smack dab in the middle of all of that. But here we go. We're looking at the pit lane once again. Let me get it up on your screens here so you guys can all see. And I'll go ahead and remind everybody of what the predicted pit stop strategies are. Again, we do have a lot of drivers actually. I think 9 of them, in fact, starting on the Ultra Soft. So that graphic doesn't help a ton for those 9 drivers, but that'll give you kind of a general idea of what we're looking at as far as pit times. You can assume the Ultra Softs will be coming in a little bit earlier than the predicted Super Soft times as well too. And now they'll actually be starting on brand new tires because we had to restart the lobby. They're not going to have that tire wear, I don't think, on their tires. So that could be beneficial to the Ultrasoft runners.
Yep, it definitely will be, Justin. Unfortunately, I'm still seeing spinning discs, so I hope we're not going to have to do this for a 3rd time. But yeah, you're absolutely right, though. It will favour those Ultrasoft tires. They will now have a fresh set. They do have to qualify, just to be clear and clarify for you guys, they have to start on the same compound of tyre if they were in the top 10. But not necessarily the exact same tyre because we're in a new lobby, of course. But yeah, it will, of course, favour those guys on Ultras. It will let them go a little bit longer, be a little bit more competitive, perhaps, in that first stint than they would have been. And maybe takes a shade of that advantage Pinecone maybe would have had starting from P9. But I'm seeing a few ticks now on my screen. Yes. So hopefully, at the 2nd attempt here in the USA, Justin. A farce, but not quite a USA 2005 style farce. And I had to get that in there because I wanted to.
Let me ask you, is the safety car bouncing up and down for you? Oh, of course, it changes as soon as I go to ask you that. The safety car was bouncing up and down for me. It looked like it was dancing. I was very happy about this race starting, and we're very happy about this race starting as well, too. OMG, it's Joe, as we mentioned previously, is on pole position after setting an identical time to CRG Evo, but doing it earlier in the qualifying session. CRG Simon in the Red Bull will start from 3rd position alongside the other Ferrari of LCR Leopard. Valache Surprise starting from way down in 5th position after just missing that checkered flag at the end of qualifying and not getting that final run attempt. He does still start ahead of Valache Alonso, though, who joins him on that 3rd row of the grid. Then it's the 2 McLarens. Then it's Pinecone, who starts on the super soft tires inside the top 10, he could definitely be a threat later on in the race. Then it's Restev and the Alfa Romeo, more so starting outside the top 10. Like I said, very surprising to me to see more so starting from outside the top 10. He's joined by Monaco race winner P1R Brown, then the other Williams of Map 212, and Langman bringing up the rear after missing out on qualifying entirely. But good to see the two Force Indias in the race and at the opposite ends of the field.
I'm just wondering about the safety car jumping up and down, Justin. Is it safety car hydraulics, or has it been filled up with the wrong petrol? Have they put hype in the petrol tank? Perhaps they have.
That's what it was.
Remember, folks, get your hype energy. It's not necessarily to be put in the safety car, but be sure to get it and drink it, because you know, it'll have you jumping around and excited for the race that's ahead, and it should be a cracker. And just to confirm, everyone in the top 10 has indeed followed the rule of putting the correct tyre on. Pinecone on the super soft, everyone else on the ultras. I'm looking forward to it, Justin. Joe and Evo couldn't be split in qualifying. Can they be split in the race? We knew that Simon, Leopard and Surprise were really close behind them, and breaking the DRS will not be easy. So we could have a fantastic race here in Austin, and we can also crown a champion tonight. Will Evo be champion? A top two finish will guarantee it as we line up on the grid for the United States Grand Prix.
Yep, the final drivers, Matt 212 and Langman, finding their grid positions now as we prepare to go racing for the U.S. Grand Prix. It's Season 16 of Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. The engines are revving. The lights are coming on now. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we're away from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It looks like a good start for OMG. It's Joe. A better start, though, for CRG Evo, who moves up the inside. It could be almost 3 wide with the Red Bull on the outside, but no, Evo takes the lead of the U.S. Grand Prix. Contact between Leopard and Simon there as well, too. Let's see if we can go a little bit further back. Veloce Surprise going on the attack now on Simon, but not able to go side by side into the S-curves. A little bit further back, Langman already making up a couple of positions on both of the Williams cars, moving himself up into 12th position. A good start for the other Force India driver, but the best start out of everybody there, you have to say, Andy. CRG Evo taking the lead of this U.S. Grand Prix. He takes his championship into his own hands, and at this rate, if he keeps this up, he will be crowned the Season 16 champion of AOR Xbox F1 League, and it's looking great for him. You have to say he's already built a 6/10 gap to OMG. It's Joe.
Absolutely, it could not have been any better off the line for CRG Evo. He's in the box seat to wrap this up today, and here comes Leopard, his teammate, trying to strengthen the grip for Evo, trying to provide a rear buffer by getting himself ahead of OMG. It's Joe as well. We know there is a big 5, you could say, of late in this league, and that is them in the top 5 places. Fortunately for Evo, he's at the front, and Veloce Surprise is at the back of that group in P5. There's Alonso and MVP Zero appear to be strapping side by side. And you mentioned this in the PS4 race, Justin. We're seeing it now in the Xbox race, side by side. We turn 17 and 18, and Zero is not giving in. He's on the outside of Alonso. And who's going to have the upper hand? Zero has the upper hand, and he's up into P6. A great scrap between those two, but he's ran a little bit wide on the exit of the corner. Alonso gets into his toe, and they'll go side by side down the start-finish straight. Pinecone watching on in the background, and look how late on the brake Zero is. Round the outside he goes, and they're still side by side as they run down the hill. And has Alonso finally got through? I think he has. Great battle to start the race.
Fantastic stuff. Pinecone looking really strong as well as the lead super soft runner, already up into 8th position, gaining 1 place in the lap. Speaking of gaining places, let's go ahead and, oh, sorry. I'm trying to show the position changes. So as we can see, Evo and Leopard jumping Joe and Simon at the start of this race. Pinecone already moving a position up on Team Vodka Shot as well, too. And Langman, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest gain on the opening lap, moving up 2 positions on both Williams cars on the opening lap. But let's see, it looks like P1R Brown actually is doing a bit of battling with Langman. Yeah, P1R Brown taking that position back from the Force India. No DRS just yet. Of course, it's only lap number 2 out of 28 for this U.S. Grand Prix, but the Force India is coming back at him. Let me know if there's any other battles going on. It looks like, oh, it's very close between Alonso and MVP Zero as well, too, but the Force India and Williams still going side by side into the right-hander now. The Williams around the outside. Looks like he's going to have the inside line for the next corner, and he's probably going to squeeze him out. I think he's just about got it still side by side, but no, P1R Brown clears him and regains that 12th place position.
Good move there for P1R Brown. Alonso went a little bit deep going into the hairpin of turn 15 and 16, ran wide, but Zero wasn't quite close enough to zero in on his rival and overtake you.
Nice.
Sorry, yeah, I'll just go home now. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, he couldn't quite do it, and it stays with Alonso P6 and 0 in P7. Interestingly, up front, Evo threatening to break the DRS already, Justin, and showing some fine pace early on, isn't he?
Yeah, looking fantastic, you have to say. Looking, the race as a whole, actually, looking really good. We've got just a few gaps that are over 1 second as we start lap number 3. DRS activated, of course, now. I'm still watching MVP 0 as he tries to close back in on Valache Alonso and resume that battle. The top guys, though, are all within 1 second of each other, so they will all be getting DRS. Let's switch over to CRG Simon because he is the closest out of everybody in the top 5 to his next rival, as Leopard might have just about missed out on the DRS from OMG It's Joe there. He was bouncing around just above and below 1 second, but Simon not able to close in to the back of Leopard. Yeah, Leopard did indeed get that DRS, and that was that allowed him to keep that Red Bull behind for the meantime. As we're on lap number 3 now, again, the DRS is activated, and Simon, of course, is going to be looking to try and regain that podium position that he lost out on.
Simon trying to make it a back-to-back podiums in the tier, and you know, he's been showing some fine pace of late, so can he get himself back ahead of Leopard? But also a man performing well, as we've mentioned already earlier on in qualifying, is Leopard. 2 podiums in the last 3 races. He followed that up with a 4th last time out, so Leopard really coming on leaps and bounds, and you know, it's a real chance for him to pull clear of the likes of Simon in the championship. I mean, Joe is 7 points behind him at the moment, so he stands to close that gap on Leopard in the battle for 3rd and 4th. But you know, Simon's around 24 points behind Leopard in the championship. So if he wants to finish ahead of him and try and challenge for that 3rd place, he would need to try and overtake. But at the moment, no sign of it. It's you know, a little bit of a stalemate at the moment up front. Everyone within DRS, but not quite close enough to make any kind of move, Justin, isn't it? Yeah,
that's kind of continuing on through the field, actually. There was a battle going on between Langman and Matt 212. Langman just cannot seem to split himself from these Williams guys, and that battling did lose them a big chunk of time. It's about 4 seconds gap now from P1R Brown down to Langman in P13. Speaking of enlarging gaps, though, OMG It's Joe has now dropped outside of the DRS range. I didn't get the camera on him in time to see if he actually got the DRS there or not, but it's about 1.1 seconds currently between himself and the championship leader, and you have to say, at the moment, it is not looking good for Surprise. He is not making the inroads that he needs to make. Now, of course, we're not into the pit windows yet. Surprise could pull something off during the pit window. You could try an undercut, something, or an overcut. We've seen that work as well this season. Could try something different, which could move him up a couple of positions, but at the moment, Evo is looking bulletproof.
He is, Justin. You're right, and I think what you're suggesting there. Oh, well, that is an absolute bullet to the championship dreams for Veloce Surprise. 3 points, 3 second time penalty added to his race time for several corner cuts, and we're only on lap 5 out of 28. It's a sore one to take, but you know, as you were just saying, I would agree with you, and I agree with you even more now. He has to try something aggressive. He needs to go for a strong undercut to keep this alive, but at the moment, after only 5 laps, it really does look like it's quickly slipping away as Evo ekes out a 1.6 second lead now, and Joe really is struggling. I wouldn't go as far as say he's holding them up, but he's certainly got a pack bunching up behind him in Leopard, Simon, and Veloce Surprise, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm going to go on board, actually, with Surprise, because he has a great view of this 3-way battle for 2nd position as Evo continues to extend that lead up at the front. Simon weaving to the left-hand side, trying to break that slipstream from Veloce Surprise, but of course losing the slipstream to Leopard in the process, so I'm not sure how much that helped. Leopard, though, going side by side with OMG It's Joe into the left-hander of turn 12. Joe around the outside, he'll have the inside line for turn 13. He does gain a bit of position back and then kind of teleports ahead of the Ferrari. A bit of contact between the two of them. Here comes Simon as well, trying to make it 3 wide into the left-hander at turn 16. And here comes Surprise, very opportunistic. 3 wide at the exit as well, too. Side by side through the double right-handers. Simon around the outside in the Red Bull alongside the Force India, but OMG It's Joe holds on to that position, but Leopard moves into 2nd position, and it is a Ferrari 1-2 with almost a 3-second gap down to this 4-way battle. This is exactly what Evo needs.
Yep, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. You might as well get the champagne out the freezer because it's time to pop it open, I think. A lot can happen in 28 laps as Simon now sends it up the inside of OMG. It's Joe. We said this track provides great racing. We're seeing it early on here in Austin. Side by side through the S's they go, and CRG Simon moves up ahead of Joe and into third place. And is that rotten run of Joe's going to continue, Justin? It just doesn't seem to be clicking for him. He did so well in qualifying, but the pace in the race just isn't there, and he's going to have surprise right behind him as well in a moment.
And while that was going on, Pinecone managed, actually MVP 0 managed to get past Valache Alonso for 6th position, and then Pinecone followed right through. And actually now Team Vodka Shop fancies his chances on him. No, that's Restev. Excuse me, Alonso has fallen behind his teammate now. I can almost see his front wing with this shot. No, I don't see any massive end plate damage on that Alfa Romeo of Valache Alonso, but he has absolutely plummeted. He's lost 4 positions. Here goes Restev, though, side by side with Team Vodka Shot into turn 12. Inside line for the Alfa Romeo. Outside line now for turn 13. Around the outside of the McLaren. I can't see the McLaren in the shot, but it looks like he's just about going to edge him out. Team Vodka Shot does manage to get ahead of Alonso, but Restev then manages to muscle his way back through. Now Morso, oh, contact between Morso and Alonso is out of the race. Let's go on board with Matt 212. We should be able to see where Alonso is. There he is, just at the exit of turn 16, just before turn 17. I don't think that was a gust of wind.
See it, Justin, but we've got pit stops at the front. We have got Joe in, we've got Leopard in, we've got MVP 0, and they're all pouring in for a strong undercut. 1 minute, they're all following each other around, not a lot happening, and then it's happening everywhere during that lap as well. Surprise got himself ahead and up into P4 ahead of Joe before it all kicked off in the pits, and already the struggling Joe into the pits, and he's been joined by Leopard as well, and they re-emerge onto the racetrack. Joe ahead of Leopard, so I presume Joe has had Leopard's had an issue in the pit lane as well, so several things happening here in the race at the moment.
I think Joe is lagging or something, because I swear I saw Joe come out behind Leopard and then lag in front of him in the pit lane, so I think that might be some lag issues possibly that are causing that. Let's actually switch over to Joe, though, because he's actually come out just behind his teammate. He's very close to the back of Langman. I would not expect Langman to hold him up too much. It is the soft compound tires for OMG. It's Joe. Langman holding that inside line just in case if Joe wants to go around the outside, but I really don't think Langman's actually fighting this. I think he's just trying to let Joe through without hindering his race if he can avoid that at all. And there goes Joe alongside Langman, side by side between the pair of them. Leopard is going to pick up the DRS and the slipstream off of Langman here, but now Joe has the buffer of Langman between himself and Leopard, so this has worked out extremely well for him. Meanwhile, Matt 212 is doing some more battling. Interestingly, he's at the back of the grid and has been doing some of the most battling in this race between Langman and now MVP 0, and I think a bit of his teammate as well too. So it's really getting interesting for one Williams. Let's switch over to the other Williams, actually. P1R Brown within DRS range, just a few tenths off of Team Vodka Shot as they get into turn 1. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. Team Vodka Shot taking that really, really tight inside line, possibly thinking about making a move on the Alfa Romeo of Restev, but nothing doing there. So they are going to have to sit behind for now, because of course no overtaking opportunities through these S sections.
Taking it just a little bit too tight and earning himself a 3-second penalty. Team Vodka Shot there. So
ooh, Langman and Leopard.
Have a look then, and is he through? No, not quite. And yeah, as you mentioned previously, Justin, getting ahead of his teammate was crucial because Langman is not going to let Leopard through. He's already nearly 2 seconds, the gap between Joe and Leopard, and he's caught Langman at the worst area of the racetrack where overtaking is difficult, and there's no signs of that Pink Panther moving aside, and the gap just keeps going up and up and up between these two, and it's wrecked Leopard's race, it has to be said. Coming in with an aggressive undercut, he's been slow in the pits, and now he's slow on the outlaps following his pit stop, chasing down this Pink Panther. Can he now complete that move down this long straight? He should be able to do it. Here goes the DRS, it's very powerful here, and with the fresher tyres, he cruises past. Langman can do nothing. He feels the need, though, to go defensive at the inside. Langman really wants to fight this all the way, but he can fight no more, and Leopard is through. Murso then, look at this, Restev, Team Vodka Shop, P1 Brown and Murso all together in the racetrack, 5th, 6th and 7th and 8th, Justin, what a battle.
Wow, 2 of them peel off into the pits, though. That is Vodka Shot and Restev that will peel off into the pits for their one and presumably only stop. Oh, as Leopard has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's really not going to be happy about that at all. But P1R Brown and Morso up the inside into turn 1. I don't think he's going to get that move completed. No, he is not, as they begin to descend the hill down into turn 2 and into the S section. P1R Brown will stay ahead for the meantime. Let's see if we can find out. Oh, is it Simon and Joe side by side through turn 2? Joe with the inside line. Is he going to hold on? Yes, he does. Joe ahead of Simon and Surprise and Leopard. So Surprise has made up positions, though.
Yep, he has. I think the big shock here is it just shows you sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Joe and Leopard come in together. Leopard's lost out. He's behind them all. Joe is ahead of them all. So that just goes to show it can be luck of the draw sometimes in the traffic. And it works out for Joe. The aggressive undercut has paid off for him, and he's back into what would be a net second place behind Evo. But he has got it all plain sailing out front, stroking it home to the world title, it would seem, Justin, but a real battle going on behind that. And the other man we need to watch out for, who's gone under the radar so far, is Pinecone out front on those super soft tyres in that Haas. What can he do? He's around 16 or so seconds ahead of this group, or the head of this group, with CRG Evo. Can he get that podium here in the USA, Justin?
Yeah, Pinecone very quietly, as you say, running his own race so far, and I'm just very excited to see how that works out for him as the only Haas for today's U.S. Grand Prix, which is unfortunate, not just because we're missing Jason, but just because they only have one car for their home race, so that's just unfortunate. But P1R Brown is into the pits now as one of the 3 leading cars, the Super Soft runners that started on the Super Softs. Langman, of course, that other car. Although it seems Langman has... No, there we go. Now it says 9 laps. Simon has Surprise right up into the back of him into turn 1. Very, very close between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. But no contact made between the two of them. P1R Brown is going to feed out just behind Langman, unfortunately for him, on that brand new set of soft compound tires. We can see that OMG It's Joe, Leopard, and MVP Zero, the guys with the oldest soft compound tires, those were the guys that came in first. And then we actually had a lap where nobody came in, and then a lot of people, Evo, Simon, Surprise, Restev, Vodka Shot, Matt 212, all of those guys coming in on the same lap for their set of tires as well too. So just 3 cars remaining in this race, with Supersoft's Pinecone leading the way with Morso just 5.5 or so seconds adrift of him. Evo, I don't think is going to catch that pairing. Certainly, I don't. He's not going to catch Pinecone, but I don't even think he's going to catch Morso, surely, before those Supersoft runners come into the pits. I'd imagine Pinecone and Morso, and probably Langman as well too, should be into the pits within the next couple laps.
Yeah, probably. We'll have to wait and see, unless they think they can run forever. Oh, they're in now. They're in right now. They're listening to you, Justin, down at Haas. Are you sure you're not Ted Kravitz, Justin, knowing all the data? And in comes Pinecone for that stop with the super soft tires, a fresh set of softs going on. So really, you know, he sacrificed all that grid position, 2 or 3 laps fresher tires than the others. Does that make it a viable decision or a good decision? I mean, right now, I know it's a long way to go. It looks like a bad one, but he re-emerges just behind Leopard with the fresher tyres, 4-lap fresher tyres. Oh, right side by side with Zero, in fact, on the exit of the pits. Is he going to get ahead? Zero on the inside. No, he's behind for now, but Pinecone with the freshest tyres, how much ground can he make up? But the question is, Justin, was it worth it? I'm interested to hear what the people in the chat think. Do you think it's worth sacrificing the grid position only to have 3 to 4 lap fresher tyres? Because I personally don't think it is. What do you think, Justin?
I don't think it's going to pay dividends immediately. It could pay dividends towards the end of the race, because I just put on the gap to the leader, and as we can see, Pinecone is less than 5 seconds behind OMG It's Joe. So over the course of the next 17.5 laps or so, can he make up 5 seconds? I mean, I'd say that's doable with 4-lap fresher tires, but it's far from guaranteed, certainly. And he's got a few cars to go through. Oh, Simon and Joe side by side. Looks like did Simon get by him? Yeah, Simon did get by him. Yeah, Simon moves up into a net second position. I imagine more so probably coming into the pits this lap. Restev and Team Vodka Shot going side by side as well through turn 13, 14, 15, and into 16. Inside line for the McLaren, the Alfa Romeo around the outside, but it'll have the inside line now, of course, for 17 and 18. But it looks like Team Vodka Shot is just about holding on, but then at the exit of the corner, here comes the Alfa Romeo around the outside through turn 19. They're still side by side, nearly making contact, but no, Restev comes out ahead on that one as Morso becomes the 13th and final person to come into the pits for their set of soft compound tires. And it looks like he is going to come out just ahead of Restev. Actually, this is going to be very, very close, but I do believe Morso has the position. Yeah, he comes out in 9th. And oh gosh, here comes Vodka Shot again through turn 1. Much better exit out of turn 1 and just breezes past Restev. That was very surprising. Didn't see that one coming.
Wasn't watching that. I was keeping an eye further up the road, but good stuff from Vodka Shot as his teammate, though, is under a lot of pressure from Pinecone, Justin. And Pinecone, you have to feel, needs to make that move soon as Zero locks up going into the hairpin. He might have a chance, but further up the road than that, I think that's where we should have our eyes, because Surprise is right behind OMG. It's Joe, and it's closing in. Is he going to make a move down into the braking zone of turn 12? Here he goes up the inside, late on the brakes, keeps his nose on the inside. Joe sees him coming. He goes side by side into the stadium section. Switch back from Surprise. He knows he needs to make these moves to keep the championship alive. Huge slide, but he can't do it, and ducks back again on the inside into the hairpin and makes it work. Desperate Dan manoeuvres from Surprise. They're clean, they're tidy, they've caught Joe by surprise, and through he goes up into P3, and that was some great racing there, wasn't it?
Wow, that was incredible stuff from Surprise. I didn't think that he would take the position that definitively. I mean, he was like, nope, that position is mine. In the blink of an eye, he went from 4th to 3rd. That was really impressive stuff. But, oh, Joe! OMG, it's a dive bomb at turn 1, but no, it's not going to work out. He's not going to have the exit, or will he? He's got the inside line. He's warping all over the place, and he warps back in front of the Mercedes, but through the S sections, they're inside one another. How romantic. Oh my gosh, these two literally cannot be separated. There we go. He's back, blinked back into existence, and Joe is back ahead of Surprise. That was one of the strangest series of events I think I've ever commentated on. I've never seen that much ghosting, really, in the Xbox League. It's never been that bad. That was really something. It seems that Joe today struggling a lot more with his connection than he is with his tires.
Well, he certainly licked the stamp, that was sure, going into turn 1, and now he's going side by side with Surprise again on the round down to turn 12. This is getting pretty personal, pretty heated. Joe did not like the way Surprise dived past him, and Joe tried to return the favour. Surprise is back ahead for now. Joe switching to the outside. Can he do to Surprise can he do to Surprise what he got done to him, as I tried to spit my words out, and Surprise stays in P3 at the moment. Great battle between them. And you have to say, Justin, this is going to invite the likes of Leopard and in particular, and more importantly, Pinecone, into the chances of having a podium.
Ooh, that's definitely a commentator curse. This Pinecone picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is just unfortunate timing right there on that one. Surprise moving to the left-hand side, trying to break that slipstream on the Force India behind him, trying to close in enough to the back of the Red Bull so that he can get the DRS if he possibly can. It is now over 2 seconds between Simon in 2nd position and Surprise in 3rd. OMG, it's Joe in 4th position with Leopard not that far behind. Pinecone falling outside of DRS range, actually, after getting ahead of MVP Zero. He does have the freshest tires out of everybody in the top 10, bar Morso. Morso does have the freshest tires out of everybody, but he has a much, much bigger gap to try and make up compared to Pinecone, although if you add that 3 seconds in there, it becomes a lot closer. So unfortunate for Pinecone at the halfway point of this race, picking up that 3-second time penalty, really not going to help him in his quest. I thought maybe he could be like a threat to 4th, maybe just outside the podium positions. But I don't think that's going to be the case. We do know that it is going to be a 100% dry race. We're not expecting any sort of precipitation whatsoever. So certainly there are going to be less surprises in this race than we would otherwise see if there was going to be some rain. So I don't expect any sort of miracles from Pinecone, but we still have 14 laps of racing still to go in this USGP.
Yeah, Justin, I think I'm going to need a police escort out of the circuit later on. There's me, commentator's cars on a Haas car, an American car, chasing a podium down at an American circuit. Don't know, I mean, you're American, Justin. Can you maybe protect me from the angry mob after the race?
I'll teach you some American phrases so they don't know it's you.
Oh, do what you can, because I'm going to have to be careful leaving the circuit tonight if Pinecone's not on the podium, put it that way. classic commentator's curse strikes again. Lap 15 though out of 28. We've just gone beyond halfway distance here in the United States Grand Prix. And Evo at the moment on course for that World Championship. A top 2 finish, a surprise. Well, there you go. Gets another 3-second time penalty, and it pretty much puts the final nail in the championship coffin, doesn't it, Justin? It's looking good for Evo from here, and it should all be wrapped up for him come the end of this race. And yep, just like Lewis Hamilton's done in the past, winning the championship here at the Kota circuit. When you know, it would have been nice for a Ferrari driver to do it at Suzuka last week, given that Schumacher did it there, but hey ho, it wasn't to be. And Evo, I don't think he'll be too fussed. He's going to wrap this up in style here at Austin, Texas.
Yep, with 3 races to go, which I imagine will be very relaxing for Evo, although we know he's not going to let up. He's going to continue pushing. He wants to get as many race wins in this season as he possibly can. He's not just going to stop practicing or anything like that. If nothing else, he certainly wants to... Ooh, as Pinecone was getting very close to the back of Leopard there. I was focused on Surprise and Joe, and just in the background there saw Pinecone in that Haas getting very, very close to the back of Leopard. Who seems to have dropped off a little bit. He's just outside the DRS range on Joe, so he could be coming under threat from Pinecone, because of course Pinecone would love to make up some more positions here if he can, if nothing else just for pride. And we can see the DRS flap on that Ferrari of Leopard is firmly closed as Pinecone gets closer and closer. He's going to be a couple of car lengths back though as they get into the braking zone for turn 1, not able to go alongside. And with MVP 0 still kind of lurking in the distance as well too. I won't discount him from this battle just yet either. With he's less than 0.6 outside of the DRS range. We can see him just coming through shot there in the S section, just behind this pair of the Ferrari and the Haas, who are also just behind the pair of the Mercedes and the Force India. So we've got 2 Mercedes powered cars followed by 2 Ferrari powered cars, and then we've got that McLaren just kind of lurking in the distance, actually closing up a little bit. He's got that down to 1.3 seconds now, does MVP 0. And I think we might be on for an overtake here, Andy. I think Pinecone's closer than he was last lap with this DRS.
Yeah, he's certainly gaining, and you know, that extra penalty he's picked up, he needs to get a move on if he wants to please the American fans, but not close enough in the braking zone for turn 12. And will he try and do what we've seen from Veloci Surprise earlier on in the Grand Prix, make a desperate move up the inside? It was a great move as well. You know, he really caught Joe by surprise, and there you go, up the inside in front of the huge grandstand that sits there. The Americans are on their feet, but look at that, Leopard coming back round the outside through 17 and 18, but Pinecone keeps his foot in and keeps a hold of that P5. And the Yanks are loving it, Justin. Give us a cheer, Justin.
That was fantastic. I think you've made up for the commentator's curse with a commentator's blessing. Is that a thing? Can we turn that into a thing? I mean, you did accurately predict the overtake he was about to make.
Try, but that might release some of the tension. You can try, you can vouch for me, Justin, at the end of the race. We'll see.
But Pinecone moves up into 5th. He does still have that 3-second time penalty. Let's not forget, but he will turn his focus now towards the Force India up the road, just about 1.5 seconds ahead of him. He will be getting that carrot on the stick effect, though, of course, as he can see his target. You know, you just get that extra motivation when you can see the car that you're trying to catch right up the road, as Leopard seems to have dropped back a pretty significant amount, and I don't think he's going to be threatening Pinecone come the end of this DRS straight into turn 12. DRS activation line there as the wing opens up for LCR Leopard. He's got the slipstream as well coming off of that Haas, but again, I think he's going to be too far back to try anything side by side. Yes, he does. Pinecone moving well off the circuit, using all of that curbing at the entrance of turn 12 to open up the corner as much as possible. And missing his apex ever so slightly there through the right-hander, and that will allow Leopard to close up ever so slightly as Leopard takes a much, much wider entrance. And that's one of the things I actually really like about this circuit as well, too. There's a number of corners on this circuit. Turn 1, turn 11, and kind of 15, 16, really the whole infield of that stadium. There's a number of different lines that you can take, and it's not necessarily slower or faster. You know, you're going to gain a little here, lose a little there, that sort of stuff. But it just really promotes those alternative sort of lines and strategies and stuff like that, which really makes things nice and interesting. Leopard laid on the brakes nicely through turn 1, but again, not a threat to Pinecone at this stage.
You're right in what you say, Justin. That's why I love the track so much. You know, not only has it got those unique those corners that we take from other great tracks, it's the difference of lines you can take. We've seen some great dive bombs in this race, and they've turned out clean. They've turned out exciting. We've had people, you know, trying to return the favour back up the inside, round the outside. That's what I absolutely love about this racetrack. It's actually one of the few in the calendar that's so wide and allows that kind of racing, and I think we need more of that. I really do. It's a fantastic circuit. Off to Tilka for this one. Not often I say that, by the way.
Yeah, he was bound to get one right eventually. Although I will admit, one of my favorite tracks of all time is a Tilka track, and that is Malaysia. And I will sincerely miss it. But yeah, Malaysia is unfortunately no more, at least for the foreseeable future. I'm still on board with Pinecone. It does look like More So is closing up to the back of P1R Brown. So let me switch over to that battle. It is still very close in the battle for 5th. And 3rd as well, too. So 2 battles going on in the top 5, but at the moment, More So seems to be the most aggressive driver. He's getting very, very close to the back of P1R Brown, and I think he could be on for an overtake either into turn 1 or possibly into turn 12 next lap.
Yeah, it could be on. Looking very, very close in that particular battle. More So gaining and gaining as the penalties are starting to be ramped up. And a quick glance there at Evo's penalty count. Obviously, he's got none, but his warning count is 2 warnings, and he got them both in the opening 2 laps of the race, so he's had to play it cautious ever since. I think Simon is also 1 warning away from a penalty as well. So, you know, on a knife edge in terms of the race victory between those 2. But Evo does, of course, have a cushion of over 3 seconds, so it should keep him in the zone. Surprise, discipline today has affected him. He's got 9 seconds, I think, worth of penalties. Leopard adding another 3 to his tally there. So Pinecone could yet get this podium. You never know, because he only has 1 penalty, I believe. But More So looking really close to the back of P1R Brown. It wasn't the greatest qualifying from More So, who, of course, mid-season was promoted into this tier. And I think Justin is really showing some solid pace, hasn't he? And deserves to be in this top tier.
Yeah, solid points finisher, and I mean that's enough to prove that you belong in this split if you're reliably finishing in the top 10. I'm just having a quick look at More So and P1R Brown. He just about got alongside him. P1R Brown defends that inside line very aggressively. More So is going to try maybe a switchback here into the right-hander, try and duck under the Williams, not quite able to make that happen. Let's see if he can make it happen into the left-handers of 15 and 16. He gets very, very close to the back of the Williams, less than a car length between the 2 of them, but not able to find a way alongside P1R Brown as they make their way through the double right-handers of 17 and 18, and just descending ever so slightly into the penultimate corner of 19, and he's going to follow him through very well through there. His tires are only 2 laps fresher than P1R Brown, so I would say this is just a legitimate pace difference we're seeing as the DRS opens up on that Renault, picking up the slipstream now on the run up towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough here unless he tries something really, really late, really, really daring, but no, he thinks better of it. Stays behind P1R Brown for now. He'll get another opportunity into turn 12 a little bit later on this lap. But meanwhile, ahead of this battle for 8th position, things have spread out a little bit. It does look like Langman and, Matt 212 and Langman seem to have maybe had a coming together, or just Langman had a spin. I saw that Matt 212 moved ahead of Langman, and I saw Langman stationary at the exit of turn 16, facing the wrong way. I must confess, though, I don't actually know what led up to that event. So it does look like he's going to be heading into the pits, though, for an unplanned second stop. So that's unfortunate for the other Force India. Let's pick up his teammate, though. OMG, it's Joe, who has brought that gap back down to within 1 second once again, as Langman does retire. Unfortunate to see. We never like seeing anybody retire, of course, but OMG, it's Joe, has gotten back within 1 second of Surprise, so the battle for 3rd could be back on pretty soon here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Surprise has got quite a few more penalties, though. You know, it's always nice to see an on-track battle. I want to just count them up. I think Surprise has got 3, and Joe has got 2, so, you know, it's not too far away in terms of the penalty amounts between the 2 of them. So, yeah, closing up there. Pinecone getting himself back within a second as well. So, could be hotting up in the closing laps for that final podium position, at least on the racetrack for sure. And, you know, Zero not too far away from the back of Leopard, who really has tailed off the back of that group since been overtaken, hasn't he? And after such a strong qualifying, it's not going to plan in the race, is it? As More So now is only 3 and a bit tenths behind P1R Brown as well. As Joe now levels up in terms of penalties with Surprise. They've both got 9 seconds each, and surely that promotes Pinecone into that podium place.
See, I'm not getting those messages. So I apologize to the viewers that you're not getting these messages when Joe and Surprise pick up their 3-second time penalties. I did see a couple of drivers' penalties come up, but I'm clearly not getting all of them because I did not see that message. So I do apologize for that, guys. That's something within the game, though. I don't have any sort of control over that. So unfortunately, we'll just have to make do. MVP 0, though, is about 2/10 behind the Ferrari of LCR Leopard. They're going to be side by side into turn 12, inside line for the McLaren. It looks like he's just going to breeze through. That's about as textbook as it gets. Will he defend the inside line into turn 13? Kind of stays to the middle of the track. Doesn't really need to defend too aggressively there. Meanwhile, Restev making his way past Team Vodka Shot with the use of DRS, the Alfa Romeo, moving himself up into a points-paying position. Meanwhile, Morzo still stuck behind P1R Brown as Leopard continues to drop further and further from the leading pack. I'm not sure what's going on with the Ferrari of Leopard, but yeah, as you said, after a really good qualifying and a pretty good start to the race, he's into the pits. He is into the pits. That is really not what you like to see. So we have to assume some sort of damage on that Ferrari.
Yeah, it must be. Or either that or his aggressive attempts to come in so early on have led to him making a second stop because he's put the ultra soft tyre on, Justin. And I'm interested to see how that pans out for him. But surely, get any chances of points are out the window, and that two-stop was never really a realistic plan or what he was planning to do. As Restev now moves up to 19, Vodka who had lost that final point, gains it back with Leopard's pit stop. Will he maintain it though? Only 7.7 seconds Leopard is behind on fresh ultras, so that'll be one to watch whether Leopard can crawl his way back into the points or not. Interestingly, out front, whether you call it significant or not, 2.3 seconds the gap now, so Simon really starting to reel that in. But Murso is as close as he's ever been, Justin, behind P1R Brown heading down to turn 12. Is this the moment he makes that move?
DRS and slipstream for the Renault. P1R Brown defending the inside line on the rundown towards turn 12. Morso will have to go around the outside. He's not quite alongside, actually, as they get into the braking zone for that corner. P1R Brown again going to defend the inside line into the next corner, into the right-hander of turn 13, keeping the Renault behind nice and cleanly. Will we see Morso make a dive around, up the inside? But no, Brown actually defended that very aggressively. Really didn't want that Renault trying anything sneaky up the inside in what is a battle now for 7th position, so not an insignificant amount of points on offer here for P1R Brown and Morso. This is right around where these guys kind of usually finish, so this is a good scrap for a nice haul of points between the Williams and the Renault. DRS open now for Morso. Once again, he's very close to the back of the Williams. Brown moves for the inside, though, and Morso actually needs to lift, but he's still later onto the brakes, and he moves up the inside on the Williams, but the Williams with the better exit. Brown is looking to hang on with that inside line through turn 2, and he does exactly that. Surely, yeah, I was going to say, surely Morso is not going to try and go side by side into the S's, and indeed he did not. So good attack there from Morso, and good defense as well from P1R Brown to hold on to that. It really looked like the move was done.
It did, Justin. I was really surprised to see him come back through. A great racing between the pair. You know, Morso's had to sit there patiently waiting for his moment. He then pounced, and he had the unfortunate viewing of seeing P1R Brown come steaming back through up into that position. But, you know, if Morso can make that move, Justin, he has got a real chance of a strong result due to the penalties in front. He is probably one of the most consistent out there at the moment. Only one warning, no sign of any penalties. So they can get ahead of Brown and start chiseling that 5.3 gap to the cars in front, or sorry, the 3.5 gap, in fact, to 0. And then, you know, just chisel the gap down. He might find himself in the top 4 or 5. So, you know, it's hurting him at the moment being stuck behind P1R Brown because he's clearly quicker at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, Restev and Vodka Shot trading positions once again and getting very, very close at the exit of turn 13. I thought for sure Restev's front wing was going to lift up the rear end of that McLaren. Again, they're very, very close, nose to tail, as they come out of turn 16 through the double right-handers, excuse me, of 17 and 18. So Vodka Shot moving back up into 9th position. And oh, Joe and Pinecone side by side coming out of turn 1. I do apologize for that. Inside line for Joe through turn 2, and he is going to hold on to that position very narrowly. I only barely caught the end of that battle, but clearly Pinecone with those 4-lap fresher tires is a little bit quicker. And of course now Restev and Vodkashot are battling once again as Restev moves back ahead of Vodkashot at turn 1. They're just trading places back and forth. And now they've got LCR Leopard right behind them as well too. So this is now turning into a 3-way battle for 9th position. So it does look like Leopard is indeed going to get points here. It might only be 2, but he is going to get points. That's actually very surprising. That's not a terrible recovery drive.
A combination of the fresher tyres and these two knocking lumps out of each other has allowed him to close 7 seconds in a matter of 3 laps, and he's now up the inside and breezes past.
That looked easy.
Team Vodka. Yeah, dawdle, an absolute dawdle, as we would say in the UK in the football sense. That's Premier League against League 2. They are, and he flies past him, now up the inside of Restev. Easy peasy, candy for my baby. There's a huge gulf between those in terms of tyre quality, and through he goes up into P9. I tell you what, the way he's going, can he get onto the back of the battling P1R Brown and Merso? Probably not. But Merso getting extremely frustrated behind the back of P1R Brown. Is he going to make the move on this occasion into the opening corner, Justin? There's a possibility if he can eye it up and maybe go for an aggressive move like we've seen before, but a poor exit from the final corner puts pay to that, and he won't be doing it as Joe has now picked up another 3-second time penalty, and that means he's at 12 seconds now, and that will for sure put Merso ahead of him. So that's at least one car Merso's going to finish ahead of, as well as P1R Brown, who's also got more penalties than WOR and Merso.
As they get into the S section, Merso continually frustrated. All of his attempts have been thwarted by P1R Brown. I have to say kudos to P1R Brown, because this is excuse me, a really good defensive drive. He went really wide there. Through turn 8, though. That was an interesting line, but it didn't seem to lose him too much time compared to Merso behind, who does have Leopard now closing in at quite a rate of knots, you have to say. Restev and Vodkashot, I can see, are still very close to one another on the circuit, as Pinecone is in 4th position, a 3-second gap to Surprise. He will definitely be picking up that podium position based on how things are looking at the moment. Merso, though, I don't know if he just doesn't, if he's got too much downforce, maybe, does Merso. Again, he's only got 2-lap fresher tires compared to P1R Brown, so it isn't a massive difference between the two of them. But and you do get the feeling that Merso is the quicker driver, but when it comes time to actually make the overtake happen, it's just not working out for the Renault driver.
You know, I'd have to agree with that, Justin. Perhaps you're right, because we've had no shortage of problems for other drivers out in the racetrack making moves stick. So I would have to go along with that theory that perhaps just a little bit too much downforce, or a significantly high amount of significantly less downforce for P1R Brown. It's either one of the two, because everyone else hasn't had as much trouble as Merso has trying to get past that Williams. Can he do it in the remaining 3 laps? We will have to find out shortly. But CRG Evo, Justin, 3 laps from glory, 3 laps from the crowning moment for he and his Ferrari team. What a season it's been. You know, I think we should quickly take a moment to just to, you know, salute Evo. And I've got to ask, has there been a standout performance this season, Justin? One that you've thought, wow. Not many, hasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, most of his races are standout. I mean, and that's really why he's the champion. I'm going to go ahead and call it now. I don't think Surprise is gonna get 12 seconds ahead of Evo, or was it 9 seconds for Surprise? I don't think Surprise is gonna get 9 seconds ahead of Evo with only 2 and a bit laps remaining in this US Grand Prix. So it does look like Evo is gonna be crowned champion here with 3 races to go after this one. I'm sure he would have liked to have wrapped it up even sooner than that if he possibly could, but he makes his way through the penultimate corner and into the final corner now to begin the penultimate lap of what will be his championship-winning U.S. Grand Prix, unless his engine explodes or something like that. I think we've had enough commentator curses so far in this race, though. We don't need another one. I have been keeping an eye on the gap between Leopard and Merso. He's closed that down by about 3 seconds in only a lap or 2. So he is closing in pretty significantly, and I think he might get pretty close to the back of Merso and Brown, but I'm still hesitant to believe that he'll actually be able to get through. But I mean, yeah, what else can we say about Evo? Evo is, for longtime viewers of the series, you'll already know this, Evo's the type of driver that when he gets a penalty, we are shocked. You know, Evo's the type of driver when he's not on the podium, we are shocked. And I think that pretty much says everything you need to know about Evo.
Only twice this season, Justin, he's not been on the podium, and that just shows you why you're shocked. That little wobble at Silverstone when he finished 6th, and then 4th at his home race in Germany, followed it up. But ever since then, ever reliable CRG Evo, second, first, second, 3rd in the races that have followed. And then look at the start of the season where the championship hard work that was really done to put his stamp on it. He won in Melbourne, he won in Bahrain, 3rd in China, 1 in Baku, 1 in Spain, 3rd in Monaco, 1 in Canada, 1 in France, 1 in Austria. Totally and utterly dominant as he's about to start his final lap. And you know, there's no better way, Justin, to win a championship by winning the race as well. He's doing it in style here today. You know, going into this race, we looked how close qualifying was. We expected and anticipated a really tight fight for victory, but ever since he flew off the start line, it never looked like losing the lead, and it has been another champion's drive from a deserving champion in CRG Evo, and he's on the final tour. The Ferrari mechanics are making their way out of the pits onto the racetrack, or onto the pit wall, to greet their man with the Ferrari flags, the Italian flags, all out. They've been waiting a while for this moment, and it's coming here today in the United States. It's been a good challenge from Surprise all season long, particularly in the second half, where he's really gone on ever since winning his first race at Silverstone. In AOR, he's really kicked on and won 5 races. He will be a major threat next season. The youngster, the 16-year-old who can now qualify, of course, for F1 Esports, is going to be a star of the future. But for now, it's going to be all about CRG Evo, Justin. He's been in there or thereabouts for so long, and he's finally going to get that chance to witness him lifting the trophy. It's your turn to call it, Justin. Here he comes into that final sector.
Yep, and he's just got 4 corners still to go. 17 and 18, of course, are going to be very fast. 152 miles an hour apex speed through there, back on the loud pedal. Just 2 corners remain between Evo and his championship glory. Final corner for the Ferrari. CRG Evo is going to cross the line. It's another victory, and it's the championship win for CRG Evo. He was so close. He's had so many battles in seasons past, and now he gets that championship. He gets another race win, and it's extremely well-deserved. CRG Simon will join him on the podium in 2nd position. Pinecone, in the end, does get 3rd. I gotta say, Pinecone possibly driver of the day, certainly a contender. Evo as well, a very strong contender for driver of the day as well, too. It wasn't quite a lights to flag victory that claimed him his championship, but it very nearly was. He took the lead of the race going into turn 1, and he never let go of it. And just what an unbelievable drive, a champion's drive, very well deserved. And like I said, I mean, there is not a more deserving person, at least not in season 16. We'll have to wait for season 17 to find out. But as you said, Surprise got that first win, and it was like just the floodgates opened up as far as his talent, his potential. And, you know, if the season had started with him getting that win in Australia, you know, what would it have been like? That's the big question. But for the future, I think we're nothing but excited about what the future holds for this league. It's been Evo across the season, but what will it look like in season 17?
You're absolutely right, Justin. I echo everything you've said. But one thing that we have to say now, and it has been the biggest injustice in the past year, get that man signed for an esports team, CRG Evo. Yes. What more do you have to do? Yes. There he is, top step of the podium in the Ferrari overalls. He has won the race here in Austin. He has won the championship as well. Esports teams, if you're watching, sign that man up. He is a real talent. CRG Evo wins the championship here in the USA. But you're absolutely right, Justin. Evo against Surprise next season for me could be a titanic scrap if we see it. We've seen it in the second half of this season when everything's reset to 0. I'd love to see it. And Evo loves proving people wrong. You know, he's proven this year that he's the man. Can he prove it with Surprise on fine form next season? He certainly proved today that the tyre patch hasn't affected him, even when the tyre glitch or the tyre patch kind of nuffed, you know, one of his strengths, didn't it, Justin? But still today, no problem. goes out and puts in one of his best performances to wrap up that championship. And, you know, I think next season we're, you know, really going to be excited to see what it brings. But well done to Evo. What a performance. And I can't wait to hear from him. I'm sure he'll join us. He always does, Justin. So
he's got it. He's got it for this one.
He's
yeah.
got it. Yeah.
But yeah, another faultless drive for Evo. As you can see, the only person in the lobby that didn't pick up a time penalty. The same thing happened in PlayStation 4, actually. The winner of the race was the only driver not to pick up a time penalty. Fastest on circuit, cleanest on circuit. He absolutely deserved every bit of that, and he actually is joining us now. Evo, I mean, I'll just say this. Congratulations on winning the championship. You're the Season 16 champion.
I don't know what to say. I'm just so fucking happy. I'm sorry, but I'm just have to say it. I don't know what to say really. I'm just so happy. The race was really going well. I just didn't want to pick up the penalty in that race. I had 2 warnings on lap 3 or something, and I just didn't want to get it. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy. To call myself a champion of this league after watching it for almost 7 years, and yeah, always following the league. It's just a different feeling.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine what it's like, because of course I've never won any championship with racing or anything. So yeah, and we did. Andy was a very eagle-eyed spectator during that race, and he saw that you had those 2 warnings very early on. So we had a feeling that you were just kind of driving cleanly, managing that gap down to Simon. In the end, though, it was Simon and Pinecone that joined you on the podium. Very surprising. A very great performance, actually, from Pinecone. And another podium as well, too, for Simon. One thing that Andy and I were talking about during the race, Evo, was we were talking about the coming up season, of course, now that this one is wrapped up. I mean, do you think things are going to be even closer next year? Will Simon have even more motivation? Will Pinecone be even quicker? Will Surprise be even more consistent? Are these worries for you?
I mean, it's going to be closer for sure. Surprise and Simon didn't have the cleanest of season, let's say it that way. But these 2 are the fastest guys on Xbox, at least. And it's just going to be really, really close. And then we have like drivers like Pinecone or Joe, who came up with podium and wins this season. So it's going to be very, very close.
Yeah, really, really, really looking forward to that one. There are still 3 races remaining in this season, though, in the 16th season. So I imagine you're going to be pushing hard for those. Mexico is up next. That's a bit of a weird track. It's an interesting one. How do you feel heading into Mexico, and are you going to be letting up at all?
I'm actually looking forward to it. It's one of my more favorite tracks on this game. But after the patch, who made the tire temps a bit easier, it's gonna be a different strategy, I think. I'm not sure, but I will give it my best as always.
And that patch, did it have a pretty significant impact? I mean, obviously, I imagine you can only speak as far as the Xbox patch specifically, but I know Xbox has had problems with tire wear in the past, being worse than other platforms. Has it really made a huge impact?
It actually has, yeah. We can now qualify on the softest tires and put the ballast a bit more up as well.
Gotcha. It was great to see, though, the alternative strategy from Pinecone actually working and getting him onto the podium, though. So I guess the patch has done pretty good as far as that's concerned, because we saw 2 different strategies in the top 3. So hopefully that's a good sign. But yeah, good to hear that you're looking forward to Mexico, that you're going to keep pushing. And again, I have to say, just huge congratulations on the win and also the championship. Any closing comments from you, Andy?
Yes. Well done, Evo. Well done. Congratulations. It was a long time coming. And you deserved it. Dominated the season, especially in the early exchanges. You know, it got tougher, and you admitted it yourself there. You said it will be harder next season. I love proving us wrong. And, you know, the patches come in. One of your strong points, saving tyres, nerfed a little bit, you could argue, with the patch coming in. But no problem today for you. Bossed it from the start, and what a victory. What a way to seal the title. And, you know, it looked like it was going to be a close race. Look how close qualifying was, for goodness sake.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then you romped it. But yeah, talk about qualifying briefly, because that was mad. That was Jerez 1997 all over again.
Yeah, I actually think on season 14 I was 1/100th of 1,000 of a second slower than the flying pin back then. So USA is normally a track where it's close in qualifying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it was very close too. Not even just between you two, but to the drivers behind as well. Leopard very, very close, and Simon as well too. I think it was less than a quarter of a second, something like that. Less than a tenth of a second. I don't remember exactly what it was, but very, very, very close in qualifying, which I think really just kind of highlights how close the field is in general. But yeah, I mean, you were faultless today. I didn't see a single mistake from you. Granted, you weren't on camera for a lot of the race because of that 3-second gap you had, but I didn't see any sort of mistakes from you. So really, really well done. And again, it's that speed, but also the consistency that won the championship. So congratulations to Evo, our season 16 Xbox One F1 champion. And he will be returning next week along with the rest of the drivers for the 19th round out of 21 in this season and the Mexican Grand Prix. That is going to do it for the U.S. Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas, though. Congrats again to Evo. Thanks, of course, to Andy for joining me, and we will see you guys in a week's time for the Mexican Grand Prix. Bye-bye.